What's up, everybody? It's Common Sense Investor coming at you with part two of the series on the extended trading close that starts March 7th. Okay, I showed you in the last video how AMC closed today at 492, and then once the post market started, we had this massive run up, and then in pre market, it continued to 25.77. And then before the market could open, it was pushed back down to close at 13.49. Okay. But the point of the video was to show you that at this point, when it closed, shorts began to cover and the price began to rise. And as the price began to rise, they pushed it back down so that it wouldn't be that expensive when the pre-market opened. They were trying to avoid FOMO, but FOMO still kicked in. And after it did, the stock began its climb down just as it usually did or usually does. Now, I want to bring your attention to the article here on institutional investor. Okay. First off, that is their audience, institutions. And if you go to the article, will NASDAQ's new extended trading close, ETC, transform after hours trading? The first paragraph tells you everything you need to know. The exchange's extended trading close will give institutional investors, not retail investors, institutional investors, a new opportunity to easily execute remaining orders after the market close without creating market impact. Well, first off, what is market impact? Market impact is this: as they begin to buy and close out their short positions, this is the result. Now, according to the new exchanges trading close, it gives them a new opportunity to execute remaining orders after the market closes without causing this. So what does this mean? Remaining orders. This is how they can stop the squeeze, people. Right here. If Citadel put in an order 5 seconds before market close, that's a remaining order that's still out there. And a market maker or institution can fill that order after the market closes without causing the price to increase. So, for example, if Citadel wanted to buy 5 million shares of AMC to cover their short position, they do it 5 seconds before the market closes, and another institution steps in and fills that order within 5 minutes after closing, and it will not impact the market's price. So we go on down a little bit further. I'm not going to read it all. I've read it a few times, but I'm going to try to point out some pretty important things. But let's see. Institutional investors have long waited greater access to high quality liquidity after 4 when the U.S. liquidity markets close and establish benchmark prices. Okay, let's talk about that. Institutional investors have long awaited greater access to high quality liquidity. Or in other words, they're looking for shares after 4 o'clock, but there's no activity. There's not many people in the post and pre-market. So they have a hard time fulfilling those orders. All right, institutional investors long awaited, but now they can. Anybody, any institution can fill an order after 4 o'clock, between 4 and 4:05, with an established benchmark price, which in this particular case is $17.90 for AMC. Major exchanges have made strides towards increasing the effectiveness and flexibility of the end-of-day trading over the years with enhancements to closing auctions and other innovative features to source liquidity, finding readily available trading opportunities after 4 p.m. All right? Finding readily available trading opportunities. In other words, when somebody puts in a sell order, they have a buy order. If somebody puts in a buy order, they'll have a sell order. And they can do that after 4 o'clock to 4:05 without moving the stock's price. In other words, this is another fucking dark pool. Next month, however, NASDAQ is launching a significant market innovation to alleviate the frustration from the institutions that institutional traders typically experience during the after hours trading session. What does that mean? What is the significant market innovation to alleviate the frustration that institutional traders typically experience during after hours sessions? What does that mean? It means when they drop a large block for buy and it starts getting filled, the stock does this. That's the purpose. And it says here that the purpose of the ETC is to alleviate the frustrations that institutional traders typically experience. What do they typically experience? This. Whereas, okay, these are 2-hour candles. So from the close of 485, in the next 2 hours, the stock was trading at 690 something, and then 2 hours later they're having to pay 829, and then 2 hours later they're having to pay 1544, and then 2 hours later they're paying 25. All this is eradicated now. This is what they have typically experienced during after hours trading sessions, and it's frustrating to them. Of course it is. When you're trying to buy and the price continues to rise, you have to buy it at a higher price. They have to cover at higher prices. So to stop this, basically at 4 o'clock, the stock's trading at, say, $5. They can drop a 5 million share order and another institution can fill it, and instead of this happening, the stock doesn't move. The next day when it opens, it will open where it closed, or, in accordance to what retail is doing. This was the squeeze. We were squeezing them right here. And they were having to buy at higher and higher and higher prices. And they've learned how they can stop this by implementing the ETC. So let's just go on. Let's see a little bit further if I got anything else. On March 7th, NASDAQ will introduce the ETC, groundbreaking new feature that will enable institutional investors to trade at the NASDAQ's official closing price until 4:05. In other words, which is 5 minutes after the closing auction ends, okay? In other words, within 5 minutes, if 5 seconds before closing, somebody drops a 5 million share buy order, they can fulfill that order within 5 minutes and it will not affect the stock's price. It won't cause this. That is, in essence, stopping the squeeze. And this is already going on 9 minutes, and we'll be looking deeper into this. This is a pretty good article, and when you're reading it, you have to remember, people, that it's written for institutions. It's not written for retail. I don't think I've seen anything else. Investors, institutional investors, and traders using our new ETC can now get additional liquidity without the frustration that often comes after hours trade, where spreads are wider and liquidity can be scarce. What else can I say, people? I mean, I heard what the guy from New York said. Oh, there's nothing to worry about. This doesn't affect us. It affects us if they can drop large block orders right here of buy and another institution fill it for them without causing this. It affects us. So that's just my take on it. I'll be willing to hear what anybody else has to say. Comment down below what your thoughts are, and I'll see you in the next video.